Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 14th 40 International Symposium 2021, which we organized under the theme, Who Cares? Let me introduce myself to those who don't know. My name is Erdem Erten. I'm now the chair of the executive board of 40 Design and Design History Society. I'm really happy to be here and a bit excited because this is the first time I'm actually having the honor to open an online symposium. So welcome to cyberspace with all of us. Well, I work in Izmir Institute of Technology as a professor in design and architectural history and theory. And I've been chairing 40 since 2019. This is our 14th symposium, and for the first time, it's taking place online due to the conditions of the pandemic. It has been a while since we started working on the symposium, and we had a lot of doubts whether we should hold it or not, but we decided to go ahead, and there was a lot of energy coming from our members, from our board, about making the symposium possible. So we decided to keep the tradition going online this time. I would like to introduce the members of the board, if they can open their cameras and show themselves. Emre Yıldız, Bahar Emgin, Gizem Yazıcı, and Batuhan Taneri have been with me throughout this journey. And they've been the energy of the society, together with our members, channeling that energy towards something that's productive, something that we're trying to do for a while now. So they have the most effort and labor in making this possible. Let me tell you a little bit about how we came to decide on Who Cares, how we ran this process. We sent out a call to our members about the preparation process of the symposium. We had replies coming in, and we started to work with a group of our members in creating the theme for the symposium, and in the end, coming out with a call for papers. So we would also like to thank everyone who participated in this process to make the call for papers possible and to push us to realize the symposium. Soon after I'm done, and I won't take very long, the theme will be introduced by Gökhan Mura, who I would like to say that originated the theme, who came up with the idea of Who Cares. It's a catchy title, and all that it connotes all its ramifications. And I think this was a very timely choice due to the pandemic and all that it brought to our agendas, all the way it changed our thinking, and we thought that that would be the thing to do for this year's symposium. So I will be concluding very soon. Again, I would like to thank the founders of 40 first, and those who supported us during the organization to make the symposium possible. I would like to thank Umut and Orkun, who made possible the visual media in communicating the symposium. I mean, their efforts are priceless. I don't know how to thank them, because it makes, especially during the pandemic, the symposium and the organization visible. I'd like to thank Işılay Sheridan for efforts in communicating with the participants during the symposium process, in answering emails, in giving information, the necessary information to our participants. And I'd like to thank our keynote speakers. They'll be tomorrow, of course, but still I'd like to thank them in the open. Mohammed Garipur and Caitlin de Klerk, who are the founders of the Epidemic Urbanism initiative. We didn't have to look hard for keynote speakers. I mean, they invited us after our invitation. They accepted our invitation immediately, and seeing the relevance of the theme to what they were doing, and of course, what they accumulated so far with their efforts, with their epidemic urbanism efforts, while we were organizing or preparing the symposium. Last but not least, of course, my most heartfelt thanks goes to the executive board, because Bahar, Gizem, Emre, and Batu providing the energy and encouragement. I wasn't as energetic as they were in the beginning of this process, but they gave me the energy, encouragement to go on, push the organization down the road to make possible what we have achieved so far. My most heartfelt thanks goes to them and all of our attendees who are watching us right now, because you're not leaving us alone in this endeavor, and that's the energy that's going to come out of this process, which is the most important. So thank you all again for being with us, and I'll hand it to Gökhan to introduce the theme of the symposium. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Erdem. I hope everyone is able to hear me and see me well. Is that okay, the connection? Okay, so I would like to extend the thank you messages of dear Erdem Erten, and also I would like to extend the welcome wishes of our chairperson Erdem Erten, also as a proud member of 40 organization. We have been trying to think about design, think about the history of design, think critically about design altogether, and this yearly meetings are actually kind of giving us a lot of power to think about the state of the world and state of design. And this year's conference theme actually came out throughout this deep thinking sessions, I would say. We all have been affected by the global pandemic. So it was always in our thoughts throughout what we do, and not only our personal lives, but also our professional lives were deeply affected by the limitations, by the new regulations of the COVID pandemic. And all of us have kind of lived through a deep anxiety at the beginning of thinking about what's going to happen to us, to our loved ones, to our country, to our planet. So it created some sort of an atmosphere that we were worrying, and we decided to kind of work on that idea, and we end up with this conference theme altogether. I would like to make a very small introduction about the theme and how we kind of look at some parts of the theme. And rather than kind of making statements, I would like to also ask some questions for all of us again to keep thinking about what we have been asking. So the pandemic has made us to think about our fragility as people, as ourselves, how fragile our existence on this planet was. Suddenly, all-powerful 21st century human beings, supported by all the technology, all the designed artifacts and environments, suddenly we felt very fragile, because something that we don't know so much about made us vulnerable to everything. I mean, we have been experiencing that worry. So although it was deep discussions in certain environments, the fragility of our existence actually became the top topic for everyone. And so we have to kind of start from there, how fragile our existence is on this planet. But more than that, actually, we had to question how fragile our own planet has become. So that has been a discussion in the world, this discussion in the world of design and in the world of art. Not many years ago, we had the third Istanbul Design Biennale, which was asking these questions under the theme of "Are we human?" And we were discussing already in this country through international participants about how we have to really put our planet in the center of our thinking. We have been thinking about humanity and design for so long that we kind of forget that we are actually a little part of this ecosystem in the planet. So we have to think about our planet more than we think we should think about ourselves. So we kind of discussed that we have to care for all the people living on this planet, but beyond all the living, we have to think of all the non-living as well, because we are living in a network that is affecting all of us all together, and we are having the coexistence of all these systems of humans and non-human living things, but also the non-living things which are making this planet habitable for all of us. So we have to care about this. So that was actually maybe the foundation of our discussions when we are talking about this topic. And I think it's very timely also to rediscuss the transformation of design from user-centered design to human-centered design, and we have to push it forward from human-centered to planet-centered design. So we wanted to underline this transformation as well. We wanted to open new venues for discussing this transformation, that underlining the importance of humans being only a part of the ecosystem of the planet. So we have to look at it. And while doing it as 40 Design and Design History Society, we also encourage, we would like to encourage people to discuss it not only from today's point of view, not only for discussing it through the practice of design, but also we need to discuss looking back retrospectively to kind of evaluate the practice of design in history, in recent history, to make it a perspective to rethink about design. And I'm not talking about an anachronistic point of view, but I'm suggesting a critical point of view, a new toolbox for all of us to make new criticisms about design through this planetary care point of view. This one of the things that I would like to add here as well is while we are discussing design and design practice, we always talk about emerging practices, emerging methodologies, and our COVID crisis actually also made us to come up with emerging criticism. So we have to adopt to the ways that what has been discussed, and on different levels, not only on the level of design, but we have to kind of develop critical ways of discussing this through design. So that was actually our starting point, and we would like to think about the concept of care. That's how we end up shaping this call for papers and the theme through the keyword of the care. So I think
maybe one can talk also about the ambiguity of the title, right? I mean, it's more about who cares and who cares, right? So we would like to emphasize that as well, because it's time for thinking about whether one cares. And think about who really cares for the planet, as designers, as architects, as planners, you know, those who can gather under the umbrella discipline of design, can do something for being part of this discussion, because I mean, if you look at the program, if you look at all our titles, we see the spatial impact, right, of the pandemic. We with reference to domesticity and the overall environment. We see it with reference to the body, right, the face, the mask, the vaccine, right, environments of care, and of course objects of care, right. So all of those have been fundamentally affected, I think, with reference to the pandemic and the idea of care.
Yeah. During our discussions in preparation for the theme, I think we embraced that notion of ambiguity, just to allow not only it's only an emerging subject and we have to critically think every aspect of it at the same time, but also to kind of open it to different levels of care, different actors of care, different areas of design that is affected through this keyword. So we wanted to keep it open to interpretation so that we can have a fruitful, efficient conversation throughout this conference and also hopefully afterwards. So one thing that I would like to propose here is all through these discussions, which is not only my personal proposition, but I think we have to think of care as a part of design, and we have to accept it as a part of design in the definition of good design. So because we're asking the question, who cares? Are we going to care as designers? Is the notion of care going to be a part of our design process? And I just would like to say that, yes, it has to be a part of design. So with reference to Dieter Rams and his rules of good design, maybe we can think of good design should also be caring and leaving it there as wide as possible, not replying what we are going to care about or who is going to care, but yes, good design should be caring, and this should be a part of the definition of design. And again, this caring should not be human-centered, but it should be planet-centered thinking of care.
And I think we are really facing the consequences, right, of this. I mean, I think who cares also implies a sense of what we've been experiencing in the last 40 years with reference to neoliberalism, consumerism, and how all that extractive economy, you know, brought up or brought the world to, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that we're also hinting at by who cares, because in a way, neoliberalism is all about lifting restrictions, you know, letting entrepreneurs do whatever they want in order to kind of maximize profit, whatever way you want to explain it. But there is that sense, I think, which is really kind of the kind of load that we bear on our shoulders with reference to the final phase of capitalism that we have been experiencing on this planet. So in that sense, who cares is a kind of reference to that as well.
Yes, and not to take too much time, I would just like to finish it with a note, with an extension of who cares actually, because as we have told, it's an ambiguous question open to interpretation intentionally. But talking about the actors of design, the users of design, the benefactors of design, or the stakeholders of design, in each perspective, we have the question of who cares. We have to ask that. But beyond that, as a person interested in also the relation of design and technology, maybe we should also think of how we are going to delegate the notion of care into design systems. So this is actually what we do as designers. We delegate some things that we do as humans to systems and to design environments, to design products, to design services. So we delegate some of the things that we used to do personally to design systems. So now is actually the time to ask that, who are we going to delegate care to? Who is going to be caring? Is the question who or what? So, I mean, we are delegating some of the medical care to machines already. In medical profession, we have wonderful machines that take care of us all. But are we going to be delegating more to systems, for example, like the
autonomous cars?
Yes, what's going to be the question in the case of autonomous cars? What's going to be the trust issue? Are we going to trust systems that are caring for us? Do we trust the HES system or the Green Pass system that has developed for COVID, all the apps that you fill in your data and suddenly you are safe to walk around in a shopping mall? But are we going to trust this machine-based care system? And are we going to, the question is, are we going
Where's
to—
human agency in there?
Are we going to trust the non-human agents to care for us? And of course, it's going to go towards the question of artificial intelligence as well. Are we going to trust a different way of thinking care for the humanity and care for the planet? Is it going to be safer? Is it going to be more ethical? Is it going to be better than human biased care if we just delegate all the issue of care to machine intelligence? So these are the questions that I would like to pose but not answer, and as a kind of extension of our theme, that in the era that we are certain that we have to care for the planet, for all of us, for the humans, for the other living and for the non-living of the planet, it's certain that we have to care about our planet. But in this environment, who cares and who will be caring in the future is the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gökhan. I think we can start our first session after this wonderful introduction by Gökhan. And I'll say goodbye to you. I'll be in the background. And I think the way we run the sessions will be, the session chairs will allow after the talks are introduced, the attendees might raise their hands, either send their questions by chat, depending on how the chair runs the session, of course, or turn on their microphones and ask their questions depending on how the session has gone. So thanks again for this, and we'll see you in the next session.